To quote a famous movie, it's Friday, you ain't got no job, you ain't got shit to do. Well, today I got stuff to do, and that includes review what happened on this Friday's wrestling stuff that we need to talk about. We got AEW Rampage, which was 48 hours prior before we go to the biggest pay per view, All Out. And of course, we got 205 Live and New Japan Pro Wrestling for the BBQ Brawl. Also, going to review two past events from different times. This past August, RevPro celebrated their 9-year anniversary with some amazing title matches, and of course, a previous event by ICW, No Holds Barred, the Pit 3. But this will be the last one I will be reviewing before anything else, but also some news updates relating to WWE regarding NXT, and of course, recently I did talk about the Japanese division, but all of that will be discussed and talked about on this episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, let's begin with AEW Rampage. It opened up with Malakai Black taking on Big Shotty Lee Johnson. Now, keep in mind, the story goes in this one how they're building up. It's where Lee Johnson wants to take revenge on Malakai Black for her attacking the members of the Nightmare Factory, that started with Cody Rhodes, Arn Anderson, and of course, recent victim Brock Anderson himself. So Lee Johnson had the guts to do this, but I think what I like about this one, how it was, Lee Johnson had the heart to try to do the best he could to beat him down, but however, Malakai Black was too much. He even gave him a chair. I think he wanted him to cross the dark side. That's what he wanted. It was more like he had his back turned to hit him with the chair. But was Lee Johnson considering doing that? It's still unknown because apparently Malakai Black gave him the black mass, and 1, 2, 3, it was over. But however, Dustin Rhodes shows up to give him a helping hand. But ever since then, Mark Henry interviewed him saying that this time he wants to challenge him this coming Wednesday after All Out in a match. So this is going to be a very interesting. So it looks like Malakai Black is in a one-man mission to destroy the Nightmare family. So we'll see what happens then on. Now, as you know, Miro, his next challenger that he picked is Eddie Kingston. Basically, he believes that he thinks that now everybody who's working AEW are the ones that took the easy way in. Basically, like, no business being there because he believes he is God's favorite champion. But Eddie Kingston begs to differ. But there is one thing that Eddie Kingston is right. Miro, in fact, his kryptonite is none other than DDT. Well, they tried to face it off, and apparently the DDT did knock them out. So basically, could we see Eddie Kingston become the TNT champion? I would love to see that. You know what I mean? This guy had worked his butt off. He's a workhorse. He's been with many promotions in the past. But this is going to have to wait until we see what happens in All Out. Now, as you know, Britt Baker set up this match in a handicap match, 2-on-1. She has Rebel and Jamie Hayter to take on Kris Statlander, who is the number one contender to challenge her for the AEW Women's World Title. However, this match was like pretty good because it showed the strength of Kris Statlander. I mean, because she used that ability to defeat Britt Baker. But however, the moment happened is as soon as Rebel got into submission, she had no other choice. And I did like how the commentators actually put out saying, was Rebel being used as a sacrificial lamb? I'm like, that's a good question. But however, later, as soon as the match was over, it became on 3-on-1. But luckily for Kris Statlander, backup arrived, and that person was none other than Britt Baker's old nemesis and previous challenger, Red Velvet. So this is going to be interesting. So we can't wait to see Kris Statlander challenge Britt Baker for the title. But do we really think she's going to lose it? I don't know. But I would love to see how this is going to go out on All Out. Now, the main event, as you know, is Daniel Garcia versus Darby Allin. Now, Mark Henry did an interview to talk about why would they do this. The problem is 2.0 and Daniel Garcia are sick and tired of the billboards being advertised that Darby Allin is challenging CM Punk. Now, Daniel Garcia has been making headways to the challenge the bigger and baddest wrestlers like Darby Allin, Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston. These are wrestlers that are the toughest SOBs that AEW has. But basically in the match, it was the same thing. However, I did like how Darby Allin was relentless, using a way to disorient Daniel Garcia's arm to ensure he cannot use any of his tactics. Now, if you look at Daniel Garcia, he has a similar uh, style as catch wrestling, so it kind of helped out for Darby Allin. However, it was Darby who won the match, but 2.0 could not take the loss this way. But of course, CM Punk decided to come out, and until Darby Allin took them out like bowling pins. But of course, it ended where we see the face-to-face confrontation between Punk and, of course, Darby Allin. So AEW, we're ready for it. We're like a few hours away. We're like a day and a half away. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. So let's end it right here and move on with 205 Live. Okie dokie, so we got 205 Live. This is the first time it's completely different. I don't feel it's living up to the 205 Live that we all know and remember. It opened up with a women's match between Cora Jade and Mari Miller. This isn't the first time they had women there. They did had it a while back during the tournament or something for the NXT for the Dusty Rhodes Women's Tag Team Classic, which was one of the most interesting things to see. Excuse me. Ooh. But it was a good match. Not gonna lie about it. It was a good match. I like it, even though it's not even on televised. I did like everything about it. Cora Jade, who I knew her as Elena Black in GCW. It's great that she's in it, and of course, I don't know much about Amari Miller, but they did an amazing job. But however, Amari Miller was pretty good. I think she is someone we need to pay attention, and it's the same thing with Cora Jade. Uh, uh, I don't know if they're going to put more women involved in this, but this is going to be a very interesting to watch. Now, the next match, this was a payback match between Josh Briggs and Joe Gacy. Now, Josh Briggs did defeat Joe Gacy, so this is more of a rematch between this match. I didn't think there was a whole lot of. I didn't think it was going to be that good because it showed how Joe Gacy wants to right or wrong losing the match to Josh Briggs, and Josh Briggs would do anything possible to win this match. But I think the biggest upset is seeing Joe Gacy actually really redeeming himself from that loss. But the real question is this going to be turned into a rubber match? Well, if it does, it's going to be a good one. Now, are we ever going to see this in NXT? I would love to see that in NXT, but as you know, there will be some changes going on in NXT, but we'll talk about that a little later on the news updates where I'm referring to. Now, the main event is Andrew Chase versus Zion Quinn. I have to say, Zion Quinn is a very impressive wrestler, very kind of like a different type of breed that I never would have imagined to watch. But however, Not a lot has been told. But I want to confess something to you guys. I was thinking in the back of my mind, watching him in this match, I was thinking Bo was going to come out to send him a message that Mei Ying will not tolerate him after what happened the previous time when he challenged Boa. Because he ran away the moment he saw Mei Ying try to get in his face or whatever he was trying to do. But it was so great. But that's what I thought it was going to happen. But however, Zion Quinn is impressive, very powerhouse. I did not expect a whole lot out of him. Now, I know there's somebody saying, but this is 205 Live, like High Flyers. Yeah, but there's been changes. I don't know exactly if they're going to keep it that way. I don't know. That's going to be another conversation for another time. So, however, we'll end it right here with 205 Live. So, let's move on next with New Japan Pro Wrestling for the BBQ Brawl. Okay, New Japan Strong, we got the BBQ Brawl. Everybody in the commentary section are saying, did you bring anything? Who brought what? Personally, if it was me, I'll just bring the sodas. So basically, that's me. But let's start with the opening match. We have Daniel Garcia taking on Josh Alexander. What an amazing match. As you know, Daniel Garcia is now becoming a very recognizable wrestler, being everywhere. You know, I've seen him in various. I want to give the spoiler alert later on this month. Daniel Garcia is going to face none other than the King Minoru Suzuki. This is going to be one hell of a match. But I would have loved to see this on New Japan, on Strong. But that's another conversation for another time. But for now, let's just talk about the match. I have to say, it's so good. I enjoyed it. I mean, we know about Josh Alexander. He is a fantastic wrestler. Now, he may not be a high flyer, but there is no limit to him of what he can do, you know, as a professional wrestler. Like the way he does things, like put people in submissions, tries to outdo anybody that gets in his way. And I have to say, this match with Daniel Garcia was pretty awesome. I have to say, I give this one double thumbs up on that. And Daniel Garcia did a good job too. I mean, it was like they both were almost in similar styles, but however, it was Josh Alexander that prevailed, and I think it played out a pretty good story on this one to see Josh Alexander is a fighting uh, wrestler who is willing to take on anybody. The same thing with Daniel Garcia, but it was Josh Alexander that came on top. The next match, we have TJP and Ray Horus. This was not the first time these two has come across each other. In previous times, we did see TJP lose to Ray Horus, so this was one of those matches where they're trying to right a wrong. It was good, but however, this time it became favor of TJP when he picked up the victory, when he put him in the Black Mamba, and 1, 2, 3, it was already over. So basically, this is going to be, now they're tied 1-on-1, but however, do we think this is going to be a rubber match between those two? I don't know. We'll see what happens. Now, the main event, we got Hakuleo taking on the Drama King, Matt Morris, or as we know him in Impact, Matthew Renrold, or as we knew him back in WWE, Aiden English. But I also like to call him the wife of Shao Guerrero, who is now the son-in-law of Vicky and Eddie Guerrero. So anyway, I have to say the match was pretty good. It did tell the story where Hakuleo wants to hurt Matt Cross. The reason is it was revealed that Matt Morris is good friends with Juice Robinson, and Hakuleo has a grudge against him. And I think it played out a very good story. However, Hakuleo won the match when he put him in the chokeslam, but he was not done with him. He wanted to hurt him more. He even tried to put him through a table, but luckily Juice came out to help him, and he ran off like a coward. Basically, he did not want to deal with him. But sooner or later, Juice will get his hands on Hakuleo one way or the other. And I have to say, this show was pretty good. So let's move on with RevPro. Okay, it's been a long time since I did a RevPro event where I actually reviewed it, but this one was a 9-year anniversary event. This took place on the 21st of August. Pretty good show. It opened up with this guy who I don't know. His name is Lord Gideon Gray. From what I can tell, he's this self-righteous prick who is sort of the guy behind a faction known as the Legion, and he has a lot of things on his mind. Amongst them was, in fact, the vacancy of the RevPro Undisputed British Tag Team titles. Now, the previous title holders was Rampage Brown and Great-O-Khan. Now, we all know where Great-O-Khan is. He's back in New Japan, part of the Empire, the United Empire. As for Rampage Brown, looks like he's now going full time, so the titles were vacant. But he decided to stick around for commentary for much of the night. But however, the opening match is involved has ramifications of those titles against one participant person. This one is for the RevPro undisputed British Cruiserweight title between Robbie X and Michael Oku. Now, Michael Oku is pulling a doubleheader today, double match today. This is one where he defends his title, but him and Connor Mills were also booked for the vacancy of the RevPro undisputed British tag team titles against members of the Legion. I have to say this match was pretty darn good. The cruiserweight title match, I have to say, was good. Robbie X, what an amazing wrestler. I have watched him before, but however, this one went back into favor of Michael Oku, who is the current cruiserweight champion. But however, in post match, he was attacked by his injured knee by none other than Lord Gideon Gray, who wants to ensure that his team walk out as the tag team champions. But of course, Connor Mills showed up and tried to give him a piece of his mind for doing this. But of course, Gideon walked away like a coward. Next match, we got Dan Maloney taking on Adam Maxted. Now, in this match, I thought Adam Maxted was going to win this one, but somehow, what's his name, Dan Maloney was able to overturn this and try to win it in his favor, which he did. Now, it was a bit of surprising because Adam Maxted, he seems like the kind of guy who could actually put you in a submission or in a pinfall position. But this time, Dan Maloney walked away with the win. Next match we have is the women's tag team. Women's match. We have Sky Smithson being accompanied by that weasel, Lord Gideon Gray, taking on Hyan. Now, Hyan, we've seen her before. This is one of those matches where Hyan is now being on the verge of going for the RevPro Undisputed Women's title. But that's a little later. But she was pretty impressive, I have to say. Same thing with Sky, but Hyan continues to make the improvements, and I'm like, wow, I like it, I enjoyed it, and of course, luckily for me, Gray did not get involved, which is good. The next match is a tag team match. We got the Young Guns consisting of Ethan Allen and what's his name, Luke Jacobs, taking on the Aussie Opens, who are the most popular tag team in the UK and all over Europe. However, this is one of those matches where you see how good the Aussie Opens are. When I first heard about them, I didn't imagine how good they really are, how popular they were. As a fan of tag teams, I'm like, wow, that's pretty good. However, it was like one of the most fun and more over-the-top matches I've seen so far. However, it was Aussie Open picked up an amazing victory, winning their match. However, they try to show respect to the Young Guns, but the Young Guns were not having it. But they did make a promo where whoever wins the tag team match for those titles, they want to take a chance at them. So this is going to be a very interesting thing that's going to take place. Now, the next match we have is for the RevPro Undisputed British Women's title. We have Mariah May, consistent with her stooges, or I say the Geek Squad or Jocks, Kenneth Halfpenny, I don't know what kind of name is Halfpenny, and of course Sean Jackson she'll be taking on against one of my favorite female wrestlers coming out of Japan, out of the British area, Giselle Shaw. I'm always been a big fan of Giselle Shaw. I mean, look, she has the pretty face, but she has like the attitude as a wrestler, basically that knows that she's determined to win at any cost, no matter how things have turned. And I have to say, I love this match. It was pretty good. However, she had to deal with both Halfpenny and Jackson getting involved, but she was able to overturn that until finally she was able to pin her. Now, there are those who believe it wasn't a pin. I mean, it didn't look like it was a pin, but it was the referee's call. Now, people can say this was a BS match or Mariah got screwed. However it goes, it doesn't matter. But however, she's looking for a new opponent, and the next person to challenge her for the title is none other than, of course, Hyen, which I mentioned. Hyen wants a shot of this title, and it's going to be also another good match to watch. Now, the next one is for the undisputed British tag team titles. We have the Legion. What's his name? Lucas Phillips and Screwface Ahmed, along with that weasel, Lord Gideon Gray, taking on Destination Everywhere, consistent of Michael Oku and Connor Mills. I have to say it was a pretty good match. Pretty good match because I was like impressed because if you guys must know, I did mention the previous champions were Rampage Brown and the Great O'Khan. What you don't know is those two guys were part of the Legion. Now, I don't know if Gideon was thinking of finding someone that could replace those two guys, but in this match, it showed the heart and determination from both Oku and Mills that they want to win this. And of course, Michael Oku won this match for his team, and I think he couldn't believe it. We can call him double champion. So now we have to wait and see what's going to happen. Will they be putting their titles on the line against Aussie Open? I don't know, but I'm excited for it because I'm definitely looking forward to it, like any other fan we would see. Now the next match is for the RevPro Undisputed British Heavyweight title. And you all know who that champion is. It's none other than the Commonwealth Kingpin, Will Ospreay. And of course he has the IWGP World Heavyweight title in his possession, claiming he is still the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion and that what's his name, Shingo Takagi, is just the interim. So his opponent is none other, if you guys remember him or not, back in TNA, Doug Williams. I have to say the match went pretty well. I have to say, even though Doug Williams is a veteran, but however in this match it did show how Will Ospreay is determined to prove that he is the best of what he is, that he's in it for the long haul and he doesn't give a damn what others think anyway. And of course he put him out with the hidden blade, and 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now the next match, it's for the RevPro British Heavyweight Championship. The challenger, we have none other than Shota Umino, or as we know him, Shooter, who that nickname that Jon Moxley gave him. It's great to see him. I haven't seen him for a long time, not since he went on excursion in the UK. But however, I have to say in this particular match, it was pretty good. His opponent, the champion, is Ricky Knight Jr. Now, if you guys don't know who he is, Ricky Knight Jr. is the nephew of WWE superstar, and of course, you know the story, Paige. That's right, folks. This is Paige's nephew, Ricky Knight Jr. And I have to say, it's one of the most amazing. His grandfather is a wrestler too. Everybody in that family, you've seen the movie, you know what I mean by that. So it was a pretty good darn match. Now you can say, oh, he's gonna live up the reputation of his family. Like, Yeah, but they stand on their own no matter what. But I have to say it was a pretty good match. Shota Umino, who's been trying to tell people I can hang with with the main eventers, and that's exactly what he did. However, it wasn't his time to win that title. Ricky Knight Jr., or as we call him, RKJ, he actually remained the champion. But however, he wants to challenge the current undisputed heavyweight champion, Will Ospreay. So basically, I don't know if RKJ believes that he's sold out. I don't know. It sounded like it, but he's willing to put his title on the line, more like a double champion title. I don't know, but if that's the case, I definitely have to watch it. There is another RevPro of show event that will be reviewed later on. That happened like later after this one, but for now, let's just move forward. What we got right now at this point, I think right now we have ICW No Hold Barred, the Pit 3. All right, the last thing I'm going to review is a previous event by ICW No Holds Bars, the Pit number 3, and I'm sorely mistaken. This event took place also in August in San Antonio on the 13th of August. Now, the first match is Akira, the Deaf Samurai, who's one of my favorites, taking on Eric Ryan, who we know him as the one group that GCW hates, 440. It was a pretty good match. However, as you know, 440 are determined to prove they are the most best at what they do. They don't care who's in their way, long as they get the wins. And that's exactly what Eric Ryan did. He doesn't give a damn, and he proved this point by really, really taking out Akira. And it was like one of those matches where the ref made the decision. It was probably for the best. Next up, we got Brian Keefe taking on Justin Kyle. I have to say, this match was so brutal. I could not believe what I saw. It was so determined. However, once again, this match ended by referee's decision. Justin Kyle, who is the big dude, taking on a guy like Brian Keith, who is not afraid of him. He took a really big risk to take on a big guy like him, and that's exactly what he did. But however, people were saying, is he ever going to come back? And of course he will. Next match, we got Dale Patrick taking on Great Scott. Now, Great Scott attacked him prior before the bell ring, but Dale Patrick, who's undefeated in these type in ICW, um, it proves that still has what it takes to be a deathmatch wrestler. However, Great Scott, he could not put him away in any way possible. So it was Dale Patrick's who won this match as well. Next match, we got Brian Kirk along with his wife Casey Kirk taking on Oren Rhett. Now, in my opinion, I thought this guy was going to lose because I thought Brandon was going to win, but nope, it did not went that way. It went pretty darn good, seeing how nobody likes the Kirks. They keep saying F the Kirks, F the Kirks. So the entire time that was like that, but of course, it was Oren who pulled off an amazing victory against Brandon Kurt, and it was already over from then. Next match, we got Sato Jin taking on Schlank, the human meat grinder. I have to say, this also was one of those matches where Schlank, he went crazy and he took out Sato Jin. I was so amazed how that went forward. Next match, we got the legend, the man, the myth, Masada, taking on Neil Diamond Cutter. Now, Neil Diamond Cutter was revealed. He's a huge Masada fan. He grew up watching him. And it's one of those matches that his dream has come true, the face against Masada. But however, Masada's a monster. He's a beast. And of course, Neil Diamond Cutter actually could hang with the guy. And he received a standing ovation after losing to Masada. And I think many fans could agree he had the time of his life against his hero. and it's one of the most best rewarding matches that he could ever get. Now, our main event is for the ICW American Deathmatch title between Aaron Mercer and John Wayne Murdoch. I have to say, it was a good match. So crazy, you don't know what to expect in this one. That's why, John Wayne Murdoch is the Duke. The Duke always wins, and that's how it always wins. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'm going to end it right here for you guys. So let's move on with some news updates. Okay, so more on WWE. The saga continues once again. More wrestlers will be released, but this time it's coming from NXT. Now, some of you probably saying, is this going to end? Well, right now there is a reason why it's happening. As you know, NXT is being repackaged. They are no longer recruiting wrestlers from the independent scenes. They want to make homegrown wrestlers in WWE. So that's the real thing. Now, as you can guess, Triple H has no say whatsoever. He no longer has any power, so this is one of those things. But it did reveal later on that Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon are now producing the show. So basically, Triple H has been ousted back. Many fans think it was Triple H's fault for all of this. No. The problem is this was part of what they want to do because they believed NXT was a failure after the Wednesday Night War. But we'll see what happens then. And of course, there are those who are speculating that Triple H could be making his way to AEW. I highly doubt that, but we'll see what happens then. Now, speaking of WWE, I mentioned before the Japanese division, which they're trying to set up a foothold. It's just been announced that hundreds could lose their job, and I did mention this before. Does this include Kairi Sane? To be honest with you, I don't know. I even told this to my friends. No one's had seen Kairi Sane for a long time. The last thing we do know, Kairi Sane wanted to be in a one-off match at Stardom for the All-Star Dream Cinderella match that took place at Nippon Budokan back in March, which was one of the most amazing shows to watch. But of course, WWE said no. But I did say if she loses her job because she was the ambassador to WWE in Japan, there is no doubt in my mind she would go back to Stardom, which is something that Stardom wants to do. So, hopefully if that's the case, I'm going to be happy with it. Now, speaking of Stardom, I did not was planning on this, but it just came on my lap on my phone. Stardom is getting a brand new wrestler to join, another Yoshi wrestler. Her name is Waka Tsukiyama. I have seen her before in Choco Pro and other promotions. She's now making her way straight to Stardom. She did state, if you guys don't know who she is, she was trained in Actress Girl. She was formerly from there. But of course, they asked her why would she go to Stardom. Her initial response was shiny, and what speak and what is her purpose. And of course, her purpose is to be. She's now going in with the determination, which is good. Now, some of you probably are asking yourselves, why is she going to Stardom? There's a reason why. In 2019, Bushiroad purchased Stardom. Now, this is coming in the heels after Stardom was on the verge of being sold by WWE, but Bushiroad gave a much better offer. And since then, every girl from any Yoshi promotion, like from Ice Ribbon or World Woman Pro Wrestling Diana, or anywhere in Japan, want to go to Stardom. Stardom is now a major promotion in the Yoshi world, and I think that's the reason Waka wants to go there. And I don't blame her. I have to say she can succeed in Stardom because right now Stardom is number one and is at the top of the food chain. So I have to say it's the same thing that happened with Mina Shirakawa and Unagi. So I would love to see how she's going. But the latest acquisition they did got was last month with Mai Sakurai, who made her debut match against Unagi, but she lost in the match, and now she's officially with the Cosmic Angels. But the real question is, I will say, if Waka Sukiyama goes to Stardom, which faction will pick her up? Now, that's a very hard thing to pick out, but that's what Stardom does. They always have new wrestlers that would join a faction, but which one will get her? Well, we just gotta wait and see what happens then. So, I think that's it with the news updates. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, me reviewing what I got with, AEW Rampage, 205 Live, New Japan Strong, and of course, two previous events by RevPro and ICW No Holds Barred. Giving you guys some news updates. Right now, for the upcoming episode, we got to Move Pro Wrestling once again with their Choco Pro events. Keep in mind, we're going to have 3 days of Choco Pro starting from Saturday all the way to Monday. I'm excited for that. Don't forget, we got New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Grand Slam at the MetLife Dome, which is a 2-day event. So I'll be doing the first day on this one, and then we'll move on to the second day on the next following episode after that. But I also will throw in two past events from two different promotions from Japan, since mostly that's what we have. We have Stardom, the Cinderella Tour in Hamamatsu, and of course DT Pro Wrestling Gambare Pro True Romance 2021. But if I do have time, I will throw in maybe another event. I don't know which one. I'm still trying to determine. As you know, this week we have GCW making headways. GCW is now using AEW as their way to expand, like they did in WrestleMania, because right now they're all in Chicago at the point, and AEW is also doing the same thing. So every promotion who are heading in Chicago are using this as a way to put more stuff, because All Out is their version of WrestleMania, which I have no problem with. So I don't know when those shows will be going, so you just stand by when I mention which one it is. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang!